Anyway, let's get to it, though. Trump has pled not guilty to 34 felony counts on falsifying business records, including some actually very juicy stuff, like another catch and kill story that his doorman was possibly trying to sell to the National Enquirer and numerous other outlets, about having a child out of, having an adulterous relationship with a model and having a child, possibly, which is cool. I mean, I think that's a cool story that's like going a little unnoticed. You know, why the fuck is he paying all these people? Why is he doing that?
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg spoke after the arraignment, saying Trump continuously lied to cover up previous crimes. Scott McFarland was at the courthouse yesterday. He has the details of this historic indictment.
It's not just about one payment. It is 34 false statements in business records that were concealing criminal conduct.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg alleged former President Trump falsified business records after planning a catch-and-kill scheme to suppress negative information about him throughout his 2016 presidential campaign. According to Bragg's statement of facts released with the indictment, Trump orchestrated hush money payments beginning in 2015 to 3 individuals. Those payments included $130,000 to former adult film star Stormy Daniels by former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, $150,000 to former Playboy playmate Karen McDougal, and another $30,000 to a Trump Tower doorman.
The defendant claimed that he was paying Michael Cohen for legal services performed in 2017. This simply was not true.
The indictment lays out nearly 36 different business records that were allegedly falsified.
The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. The $130,000 wire payment exceeded the federal campaign contribution cap, and the false statements in AMI's books violated New York law.
AMI was the publishing company of the National Enquirer. Bragg alleges the head of the tabloid, David Pecker, was a Trump ally who prevented negative stories about the then candidate from getting out.
It's alleged that by trying to hide that campaign violation, that becomes a felony.
Scott Frederickson is a former federal prosecutor in Washington.
If he were convicted, a low-level felony, he certainly would not, in all likelihood, ever go to jail over this. It wouldn't prevent him from running for president or being president, but it is certainly consequential.
Keep in mind, this is just part of Trump's legal troubles. He's facing Department of Justice probes into his connection to the January 6th attack and efforts to overturn the 2020 election, and also an investigation into possible obstruction regarding his handling of sensitive material at Mar-a-Lago. And in Georgia, we're waiting for the district attorney's next move after a special grand jury there looked into whether Trump and his allies tried to overturn that state's election results. John?
Scott, thank you.
Well, the morning after that historic indictment, Donald Trump is on the attack. We saw this striking image yesterday of the former president surrounded by his lawyers in the courtroom, where he pled not guilty to 34 felony counts. Prosecutors say the allegations are linked to hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels and 2 other people who they say could have damaged Trump's chances in the 2016 election.
If there was any speculation about whether that court appearance would give Donald Trump pause, he put those questions to rest last night. In a defiant speech at Mar-a-Lago, the former president claimed he's a victim and targeted the prosecutor and judge in the case. Major Garrett was at Mar-a-Lago last night and joins us now from West Palm Beach. Major, good morning. What was it like in the room?
Good morning, John. Good morning, everyone. I got to tell you, the atmosphere inside Mar-a-Lago was festive. It seems strange to say, but it was like...
It was festive because the offenses are low level and it's not all that significant, and he will probably, most likely, not go to prison. Okay? That's why he can just have fun with it. That's it. Most people don't think that this is serious. It's understandable that they don't think it's serious. Trump is just basically trying to do everything he can to farm as much money as possible off of this. Nah, throw the book at him 136 years? Yeah, according to Rap TV. If you ask Rap TV, he's going for 136 years. You know, ultimately, none of these guys care about law and order. It's shocking. I know. Everyone's shocked to find out that the Trump supporters are not the law and order party. The Mr. Lock Her Up ass motherfuckers, which wanted to lock Hillary up, which I'm on board with. Again, turns out they're not so fond of locking people up if it's their guy getting locked up. There are now prison abolitionists. They're reading Angela Davis. They're talking about how prisons are actually obsolete. And they're saying crime is not really a crime. That's not that big of a deal. I'm sorry, but if nothing's going to happen, why are we sitting here listening to reporters say the same shit for hours? We could be talking about Tennessee or Florida. I don't know, because we do talk about Tennessee and Florida pretty much every day. And sometimes it's fun to talk about the largest news story that a lot of people are, interested in hearing about. Do you think you are a producer for the show? Is that what you think? Do you think that we should be guiding the content around what you personally want to talk about? Tim Pool, also working with Rap TV. Donald Trump faces 136 years in prison over insane BS charges. Hey, HasanAbi, that chatter doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe we should move on. Yeah. Dude, hey, you covered the news? How about all the news? Why not all the news happening all the time? There was a stabbing that occurred down the street from me, and your silence on the matter is deafening. Okay? Yeah, RIP Cash App. That's not what I was even talking about, but that did happen. So there is that. Anyway, I'm outraged you haven't covered my village mayor race and our one fucking candidate. I know. It's fucked up. Really messed up. Not as messed up as the top of the hour ad break is, obviously. That one is the most messed up thing because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And a lot of your silence on the 3-minute ad break is deafening. But that's probably because you're subscribed. For $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, you get to avoid the top of the hour ad break. Hasan the Hunt is officially a Balkan now for ripping the Dua Lipa Balkan t-shirt when he came on the Deprogram pod. Yeah, another victory against the Ottomans. D-Tone says Trump equals best president. Thank you for the $3 donation, D-Tone. That's not his Twitter. Yeah, that's not you, Gobnik. It's someone else. Anyway, Sakura Gore, thank you for the 5 get the subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Adelaide Fair. Thank you, Adelaide Fair, for the 5 gifted subs. Fucking 5 gifted subs from this nutter. You nutter. Yeah, but what about the NC State rep that flipped? Like, bro, look at the fucking screen. Look. I'm mad. You're not talking about the NC State representative flip. Here, I'll put your name right on top of it because some of you motherfuckers just want to see yourself on the broadcast the most. Look at what's right on top of that. Do you see that tab? What do you think is in that tab? Do you think I am going to talk about the North Carolina lawmakers switching parties? Look. I'm covering it now. Stop. He'd be real fucking shocked if he could read, okay? There it is. All of that is on the on the agenda.
an indictment party. Trump supporters were eager to rally to his defense, seeing him as a kind of political renegade being persecuted for challenging the system. The energy and anticipation in the room were real. And then Trump spoke, and despite the history and the stakes involved, the room fell oddly quiet as the former president read through a laundry list of all too familiar political and legal grievances.
Former President Trump portrayed himself as a victim.
And I never thought anything like this could happen in America.
And the Manhattan District Attorney who indicted...
He's like, dude, rich people, powerful people, people that were presidents, people that help out other rich people going to fucking jail or possibly facing legal scrutiny. I never thought this would ever happen. When I say that, I just mean I never thought this would happen to me. Lock her up, by the way.
Indicted him a tool of, quote, radical left lunatics.
The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
Trump said his indictment cast a dark cloud over America.
Virtually everybody.
Like, I can't get over that element. I just cannot get over that element of, like, the party that ran on lock her up. The party that has, like, a genuine constituency that believes that, like, all Democrats are pedophile vampires who were supposed to go to jail under the Trump administration when the storm came. Like, that party is now upset that, like, you know, the justice system is actually coming after them. In the exact same, like, biased political way that they wanted to weaponize it. I can't get over it. I cannot get over it. You had your shot and you missed it, Mr. President. You know, I love you. I think you got a fat dumper. You're a pog. I'm a fan. Okay. But goddamn, like, you fucking had your chance of locking Hillary Clinton up and you missed it.
That has looked at this case, including rhinos and even hardcore Democrats, say there is no crime.
During a nearly half-hour speech peppered with a laundry list of baseless grievances, Trump attacked Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the judge presiding over his case. Trump's oldest sons posted articles pointing to the judge's daughters work with then-presidential candidate Kamala Harris's campaign.
The criminal is the district attorney. I have a Trump-hating judge with a Trump-hating wife and family.
Trump also said falsely the 2020 election was stolen from him. He characterized other ongoing investigations in Georgia and Washington as led by racists or Trump haters. Trump and the Republican Party he leads have suffered setbacks in 3 consecutive elections, a fact Trump tried to turn on its head.
They can't beat us at the ballot box, so they try and beat us through the law.
I'm here to protest.
On the historic day in Manhattan, more reporters than protesters observed Trump's arrival. Multiple layers of security enveloped Trump's every movement, inside the courtroom, during an hour-long arraignment, and for his departure. Trump, speaking for himself, entered a plea of not guilty to all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. The charges, prosecutors said, arose from a series of hush money payments designed to suppress bad press that might have influenced the 2016.
My favorite is when he says no other president has gotten as many votes as I have. Like, whenever Trump says no other president has gotten as many votes as I have, I got 75 million votes. I'm like, bro, you're not the president. So clearly somebody got more votes than you. You know what I mean? It's such a weird thing to say when you're running for president. You're currently running for president because you didn't win. You lost to a guy that is now the president. Now, it's funny, it's stupid, but remember, if the audience that's receiving your information is just as stupid or even dumber than you are, then it works. So that's how it's working for him.
presidential campaign. Manhattan District Attorney Bragg.
No matter who you are, we cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
Trump's lawyers said they plan to file a motion to dismiss the case within the next several months.
Well, everyone is not above the law, no one's below it either. And if this man's name was not Donald J. Trump, there is no scenario we'd all be here today.
Trump has leveraged the threat of arrest and the...
Also, yeah. I mean, that's true. That's true because, like, it's one of those instances where the crime is, like, very Trumpian. Right? Other... presidential hopefuls have done similar things and gotten away with it. Part of the reason why Trump hasn't been able to is because he is Trump. Like the way that this conversation is always centered around Trump is so funny because like it is a uniquely Trumpian crime. You know what I mean? Like when Joey Taco Penis comes out and says like, yeah, this could happen to you. If this could happen to Trump, it could happen to you, right? And it's like, no, it can't, because the crime is like incredibly specific. It's incredibly specific. It's so specific that it's like almost entirely specific to Donald Trump, because at least most people would try to avoid getting hit with any kind of like criminal misconduct, because they would cover their tracks adequately. Like even across the board, it's like a crime that only people who are technically running for office could engage in. People who have to also be like pretty wealthy to be able to, not only have sex with porn stars, but then also pay them hush money during the process of an election. And so you've already cut down like 99.9% of the planet that way. But then also on top of that, he took no effort in trying to counter the potential legal implications, the potential legal accountability that might have been brought against him in this process, by very clearly saying, like, pretty much as openly as you can, I am doing this for the election. I want to cover this hush money payment up. After the election, it doesn't matter because it's only for the election. I don't even care if my wife or children know about the porn star thing. I only care about the election. Please make no mistake. This hush money payment that we are basically, hiding as though it's like legal payments to Michael Pence that we're funding through campaign donations is actually for the election. I care only about the election, and that's why I did it. Like, there's no other way that this could have been escalated into a felony charge. But he did it. He found a way. There is enough evidence to trump these otherwise misdemeanor charges to a felony. And I find that really, really wild. Bribery is legal unless you say what it's for. I mean, that's a great example. Bribery is legalized in Western nations in the form of lobbying, in the form of campaign contributions, right? And it's basically like getting arrested for campaign finance violations in a country where you can dump unlimited funds to an individual candidate by way of 501c4 super PACs and the like. It's such an incredibly preventable crime that the federal government and state governments have basically made it legal for you, as long as you file the adequate paperwork, or as long as you don't openly say that you are doing this for a crime. Don Lemon's misogyny at CNN exposed malicious texts mocking female coworkers and diva-like behavior. Oh, shit. They're coming after him. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. We're going to cover this in a little bit. Don Lemon got in hot water because he said, like, women are no longer viable after the age of, like, 30 or whatever. It was pretty awesome. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's continue with
Reality of indictment to raise millions in campaign contributions. His campaign sent out several appeals. One offered a T-shirt with a phony mugshot.
The next court hearing is scheduled for December 4th, roughly 2 months before the first Republican Party nominating contest. The Trump campaign said it has raised more than $10 million since the indictment. The former president's next public appearance could be as early as next week when he's scheduled to address the National Rifle Association convention in Indianapolis. Natalie?
All right, Major, thank you.
I'm sure you're going to be interested in this because with more perspective now, I want to bring in Mike.
Speaking of Don Lemon, speaking of Don Lemon, whose days might be numbered at CNN, let's hear what he had to say, talking to the reporter who helped uncover the hush money payments, weighing on the charges.
Rothfeld, he is a Pulitzer Prize winning, his work helped to trigger this whole investigation, and so we're so glad to have him. He is also the author of The Fixers, The Bottom Feeders, Crooked Lawyers, Gossip Mongers, and Porn Stars Who Created the 45th President. We're so happy that you're here. Thank you for doing this, because let's start with the counts, right? Sure. There are 34 of these counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. After working on this story for years, did you think that this day would ever come?
Actually, no, because the federal authorities were investigating this. They charged Michael Cohen. Donald Trump was president. He couldn't be charged. And then, after he left office, it did not seem like it was going to happen. And then Alvin Bragg resuscitated the case. So I didn't think it was going to happen.
And in the context that we have now, related to the invoices, relates to the checks that relates to the ledger entries, did you know specifically or have some idea where this might go?
Well, as my colleagues at the Times were reporting on what the grand jury was going to indict him for and what the DA was going to charge him with, we did know that it was going to be falsifying business records. And all of this scheme to repay Cohen and disguise the repayments for the Stormy Daniels payment as legal fees, that was known from the beginning. So
well, let's go to the hush money. There it is right there. 3 hush money cases in the Trump indictment, the Sarah McDougal. But this is the checks that you were referencing there. These are,
that's right.
This is the evidence here, right?
Right, and you can see that, Donald Trump signs these checks.
Whoa. Don't touch the fucking TV. What is this? You don't get to touch the TV like that. That's Don Lemon's TV. Fuck you doing? Only Don Lemon and what's the other one? Is it John King or Don King? Only they get to touch the TV.
Himself. I mean, his signature is illegible. Some of the checks were signed by other people. I believe Alan Weisselberg, his CFO, may have signed some of them, or Donald Trump Jr.
Right.
But some of these, Michael Cohen says, were signed when Trump was in the White House.
Yeah. The people who are saying, well, even with this, the case isn't strong or what have you. Does that matter at this point? Because it does show that the former president was involved, that Weisselberg was involved, and there were others who were involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, falsifying business records is a pretty common charge in New York State, and clearly Michael Cohen did not perform legal fees. He paid Stormy Daniels off, and he was repaid with these sort of phony checks for legal fees. So that seems like a pretty straightforward case. The question is, to elevate this to a felony in New York State, you have to show that he had the intent to conceal another crime. And that crime, Alvin Bragg yesterday suggested it could be a state or federal election law violation, some kind of a tax charge. But he didn't specify that. And I think he just has to show that he had the intent to do that.
Well, let's talk about what's in the indictment, because the indictment does not name the alleged crimes Trump was trying to conceal, but Bragg at his press conference referred to violating state election law. Did this surprise you?
No, because, the state or federal election law, we don't really know exactly what might be said at the trial, but the whole purpose of this alleged scheme was to influence the 2016 election for Donald Trump and to silence these women, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. The indictment itself only deals with the Stormy Daniels repayment, but in this accompanying statement of facts, Alvin Bragg lays out this larger scheme of hush money payments to help Donald Trump during the 2016 election.
Yeah, and these are all the three people who were believed to be involved in that.
That's right.
We understand what happened with Stormy Daniels. That was the $130,000. This was $150,000.
Right.
But go on and explain some of this, because the doorman thing, people are a bit confused about that.
Right. Well, Trump is alleged to have conspired with David Pecker, who ran the National Enquirer, and the doorman, his name is Dino Sajudin.
Doxed.
Came to the Enquirer with a story of Trump having a love child, which he apparently did not have. But in order to prevent the doorman, he used to work at Trump Tower, from talking about this during the election, the Enquirer paid him $30,000, and he had to remain quiet.
Wait, what the fuck? Wait, so he didn't have the love child, but like what? Just the fact, so he had an abortion? Does that mean that Trump paid for an abortion with a love child potentially? Like, because it doesn't make sense that like someone who is like close in someone who interacts with Trump personally, coming out with like an outright lie, getting 30 grand is actually a terrifying precedent to set for Donald Trump. That would mean that every single person, from his security to people that the people that hold the fucking door for him, literally stand to make money by just lying about shit. So it means that there's got to be more to that story. You don't pay hush money to someone for completely fake news. Does that make sense? Because if that was the case, then he would have to fucking pay everyone and anyone around him could like come out with like some fake ass bullshit. Yes, you do, lol. Wait, really? But by the way, I love Twitch chat being like, no, that's clearly what you do. Source, I'm a mob boss. Like, how much experience do you have with hush money payments, man? Just got here. Trump had sex with a door guy. What if that was it, dude? I just don't believe, especially when you are a famous person, I do not believe that you would be in the business of just like dumping funds to random people that make shit up about you to shut them the fuck up, especially because then you're basically saying, hey, look, it's open season. Make shit up about me and I'll give you money. It's also weird because Trump doesn't even pay his contractors famously. Remember, Trump is notorious for not paying his contractors, and he's even notoriously tried to not pay Stormy Daniels the hush money, which is part of the reason why that was used as evidence against him to escalate his charges, to elevate his charges into a felony, because you can say that it's a felony if you're doing it for the purposes of hiding a crime during the election. Like, from an election law standpoint, the only way that this gets escalated to a felony when you're cooking the books is if you are doing it specifically as it pertains to your election and electoral outcomes. So him saying that he literally fucking did this, or he's so not in the business of paying people that he might actually get into legal trouble over this. We know that Trump is asexual. He had the doorman fuck Stormy and he watched. I do think he is asexual, by the way. My union and a couple others took him to court for Chicago Tower for failure to pay. It's not surprising. This is the least surprising thing I've ever heard. I do think Trump is asexual, by the way. Yeah, but he just saw something in Stormy Daniels that he now calls horseface. But, like, I do think that.
Yeah. Let me, just before we go, as you've been watching all the coverage and the analysis here, is there something that we're missing? People are saying it's not a strong case. I don't understand. They're not listing an underlying crime. Are we missing anything with this? What would you like to point out?
Again, just that this is a very common charge in New York State. Many people are charged with falsifying business records. And so what the DA has said is that, Donald Trump is no different than them. It's not really that unusual, except for the fact that he was the president of the United States and no former president has been charged before. But, that doesn't necessarily make him immune to prosecution.
Yeah. Michael, thank you. I appreciate you joining us. Michael Rothfeld.